You are all great mentors, and you are doing well, and you always support and motivate me to do something. So I love being among you, my dear colleagues. Wallah.
Thank you.
So can you tell me what have we learned till now? يلا يا حلوين.
We were talking about the questions to be moved from the lower order thinking skills until we reach
Great.
the higher order thinking skills.
Of course, and of course, by writing the objectives according to
Bloom's
ABCD model method.
Bloom's taxonomy.
Of course, this is very important. Yeah, according to the ABCD model based on Bloom's taxonomy. And of course, the goal is to, when we use the ABCD model, the goal is
A way to write your objects.
yeah, to what is the
To
first
measure.
To measure. Excellent. To measure our learners' production, of course. To turn what we are teaching them into something measurable. Not only just teaching, but to apply what they have learned. Okay. And we have reached to the application part. Here. Here are the learning level associated with action verbs, and all Bloom's taxonomy deal with knowledge, of course, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, which is evaluating, and of course we reach to evaluation. And here are other action verbs. So all the time it's important to know the suitable or the relevant action verb to choose when you write your objectives. Why? Because upon the objectives, everything coming is you will know how to evaluate and assess your students, of course. Here is an activity based on Bloom's taxonomy. Directions: read the following learning objectives. So we're gonna read some objectives and decide which of the thinking levels, remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating, it represents. So what will we do first? What will we do first?
Read.
Read, yeah. The first thing is read some learning objectives. And the second step is
Decide.
to decide which thinking level is it. Is it remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, or creating? And be careful that an objective can be more than one level. An action verb can match more than one level of Bloom's taxonomy. And after you are done, we are going to discuss your answers together. So here, again, we are going to read the objective. I'll give you a minute for each objective to read it silently. After that, we are going to discuss which thinking level is it. Okay, we're going to tell which thinking skill. Rational means why. Why do you say it's remembering, understanding, and so on? Okay, so here there are 3 objectives. I'll give you 2 minutes to read silently and quickly, and after that we're going to discuss together. Okay, are you ready?
To read the 3 at all?
Yeah, read the 3 objectives.
Okay.
And we'll discuss together.
Yes, it's
Okay,
done.
have you finished?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll read the objective and Noha will choose. Raise your hand, please, if you want to share. The one who wants to answer, tell me what thinking skill is it and the rationale why. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, the students will be able to design an original role play homework task to assign to their peers during. So,
Miss
which
Hanan?
thinking level? Yes,
Miss Hanan?
I think create
create. Okay,
because
why?
he in this level asked to design a role play as a homework task for homework to his peers to learn them how to deal with the theme buying from store, to
Okay,
create
so
a conversation or a role play.
okay,
That's what my opinion.
do you agree with Hanan or you have?
Yes, I
Yes,
agree with
I
Hanan.
agree.
And maybe it will be apply also.
Yeah,
Maybe create and apply.
that's right. Excellent. It is creating and applying. That's right. So it can be two levels of Bloom's taxonomy. It can be creating to design an original role play. Here it's apply. But to assign to their peers dealing with the theme buying from a store, here is comes creating.
Yes.
What about, do you have another opinion or it's okay with you? Does any one of you have another opinion?
It's
No,
okay.
Yes, Noha?
no, I agree with both opinions. Could be apply or create both. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So that's right, Noha. Okay.
We have Miss Amani.
Yeah, Miss Amani, by the end of this lesson, the students will be able to remember details about the story.
Yes,
So
this is this talk about the remembering stage first.
Yeah.
First level. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Because the student. Yes. Sorry. Because the student just to remember what they took or what they studied.
Yeah, it's and the action verb here is very clear. It's only remember, just to remember some details. Okay, number 3, by the end of this lesson, the student will be able to summarize the story in their own words. And be careful too in their own words. Not only summarize, but yeah, Mr. Ahmed?
I think it's analyzing.
Can be analyzing or
understanding.
Maybe understanding or
I think it's creating because they will make
so
a
it can
new
be
production.
He will summarize
that's right.
something he knows.
If we stop, excellent. So if we stop only at summarize, so it's analyzing. If we stop here, but in their own words, here it's applying or creating. So as we have mentioned before, an objective can have or can deal with more than one level of Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, here are some more objectives. We can read quickly not to waste our time. By the end of this lesson, the student will be able to suggest how the main lessons in this story could help other young people. So, which thinking level is it? Which thinking level?
I think creating.
Yeah, why? Why creating?
Because he mentioned suggest.
Because they will make a new design of the story.
Yeah, because they could help other young people. Not only they just suggest and stop here, but we have to complete the objective because they could help other young people. So they turn it into action from only just
could be applying as well, Miss.
Yeah, and of course it could be applying. Yeah, so here it could be applying and creating when they help other young people. That's right. What about by the end of this lesson, the student will be able to decide why the different characters in the story behave the way that they did. So which thinking level to decide?
I think it's evaluate.
Analyzing. Analyzing.
Maybe.
Analyzing.
It's a kind of
Evaluating could
critical
also
thinking.
evaluate.
So, okay. So if you say analyzing, tell me why. If you say evaluate, tell me why. So tell me the reason why. Why you say analyze. Who said analyze?
And yes, yes, me.
Yes.
I
Why?
think it's a kind of critical thinking way.
Yeah. Okay. So what about you, Nuha? Why evaluating?
It's how for each character there are different circumstances, different points of view, and they can evaluate why each character behaves in the way they are. So we can evaluating their points of view.
Yeah, that's it. So because they express here or they evaluate how others behave the way they did. So here it can be all your answers are correct. It can be analyzing. If they decide the different characters, this is analyzing. If they decide why the different characters in the story behave the way that they did, so they express their opinion about each character. So this is evaluating. Thank you. Great, my dear. Good. Great mentors, of course. بعد كده, or after that, by the end of the lesson, the student will be able to evaluate the strength of the main character's decision to leave. So what thinking level?
Evaluating.
Yeah, of
Evaluation.
course. It's clear. It's evaluation. The rational, the action verb here is only to evaluate the strength. Number 7, by the end of this lesson, the student will be able to rewrite the ending of this story to show a
Creating.
different outcome.
Creating.
Yeah,
Creating.
so it's creating. Why creating?
Because he wanna show a different end.
Excellent. So here, because it's a different outcome. If we stopped at the action verb rewrite the ending of
It
this
will be
story.
applying.
Excellent. It will be applying, but to show a different outcome. So here,
It will be
by the way,
creating.
it can be applying and creating at the same time according to the action verbs here. So now you are a real professional at writing writing measurable objectives according to the ABCD model. Let's apply, my dear friends. Make sure to follow the ABCD model, then identify the components of the objective. So look at this picture. This is from grade 1, Connect. Learn, طبعا of course, learn sounds with busy bee. Look at this picture and please take a minute to think of an objective, okay? And make sure to follow the ABCD model to know or to identify, to tell me the behavior, the action verb you choose, the conditions and the materials, and of course, the degree of the objective. So have you thought of something?
Yes.
Okay, yes, Noha, go ahead.
By the end of this lesson, students will be able to pronounce the sound successfully.
Excellent, okay. Can you tell me the audience? Who are the audience?
The students.
The students. Okay, what about the behavior, the action verb?
Pronounce the sound,
Pronounce, excellent.
Successfully is the degree.
Excellent, successfully. And the condition, the environment and the tools you are using, Noha.
I don't get it.
Okay, what teaching aids will you use here?
The sound, ha.
The sounds.
Yes. No, the teaching, of course, this is inside the classroom. The condition here, yes, ماشي آية. The condition here, that means the tools or the teaching aids you are going to use. So what teaching aids? Yes, of course, the textbook, flashcards, maybe drawing. Yes, okay.
Our real body.
I think
Yeah.
if I'm talking about
Yeah.
sound, so audio will be expected.
Audio, excellent. That's it, Noha. That's it. Audio, using audio, of course, and maybe a video if you are preparing a video about these sounds. Great, that's great. Okay, excellent, Noha. Good job. You're doing well. Okay, can you think of another objective according to the ABCD model?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. By the end of this lesson, the students will be able successfully to identify words that have the sounds and na.
Okay, the degree, how?
Differentiate, yes.
Successfully. Yes, that's it, Ms. Noha. Differentiate.
Relevantly, successfully, well. So it's very important to choose the degree the learners will produce the lesson or the objective. This is very important, okay? So is it easy now to apply the ABCD model?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Great.
so why is it different from our previous preparation? Is it different or is it the same?
Different, I think.
It's
Okay,
different because
why is
it's
it different?
applicable.
More specific.
Yeah,
More
more
specific.
specific, of
And-
course, and more
measurable.
applicable.
And
And
measurable.
I know.
Yes.
And I know what I am going to do and why.
Excellent.
What is specific?
Yeah, that's it. We know what I'm going to do and why am I doing it. And the most important point is how. How are we? How for me and for me and for my learner, we are doing this to produce what? So this, I think this model is very important to let our learners apply what they have already learned, not only to know some knowledge or some information, but to apply what they have already learned. Okay. So this is the last part, inshallah, which was your request or according to your needs analysis, teaching grammar. Here are some ideas about teaching grammar. And of course, I like to share your ideas before starting. Can you tell me of different ways or strategies or techniques used in teaching grammar away from only just explaining or writing examples on the board? Have you ever used different techniques or strategies?
We
Telling stories.
Yes, we can
Okay.
use some stories.
So
Share your
raise your hands, and Noha will choose you by names, okay? To be more organized. And we'll discuss together, share ideas, of course, first. And after that, we're going to know about some new techniques, which can be helpful, I hope, inshallah, in your teaching this year, okay? So, who's first?
I have only Miss Amani raising her hand.
Okay, yes, Amani, go on.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask all of you, Amani, Mr. Ahmed, Hanan, Noha, Shayma, all of you will share, inshallah.
Please,
By honor indeed.
can you repeat the question again, please?
Yes, do you use or different techniques or strategies in teaching grammar away from explaining or writing examples on the board?
Yes.
Okay, yes, Amani, go ahead.
As for me, in the prep cycle, I sometimes when I'm gonna teach the past simple, for example, I use a story. I went to the museum once. There was a lion. Like these situations, and then ask my students some questions about the story and help them to find the answers for these questions. Then I write the story again on the board and focus or concentrate on the verbs of the past simple. Give some cards for my students for the verbs or some empty cards to write the verbs in the past and the verbs in the present, and so on. This is for the prep cycle. But for the primary students, I always create some songs for them, just to summarize all the all the tenses, especially for grammar I speak about.
That's great. So you mean use songs and stories with your learners. Okay,
Yes.
I loved these ideas. Great, Amani. Okay, who else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Ahmed Diab.
Okay, Miss.
Yes,
Miss.
Mr. Ahmed. Yes,
Okay,
go ahead.
especially for young learners, we tend to use the PPR, especially for those young learners in KG or something like that, to give them instructions about some actions to teach grammar. But for the higher levels, we use maybe we can use the simple rule for writing the rule on the board and giving some examples, or writing some examples and list the rule from our students. Or can we elicit some rule examples from the context, in a passage or something like to make students elicit either it is past simple, past perfect, or the tense itself.
That's great. So you mean you use some contextualization when in teaching grammar, maybe TPR to act the action verbs they learn. That's great. So using the TPR and
also we can use the
stories.
timeline, of course, for this level. The timeline is very important to know the actions.
Great.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. So thank you, Amani and Mr. Ahmed. So here we can use songs, we can use storytelling to teach grammar. And this is a good technique, by the way, which we are going to talk about. And also TPR to act the action verbs the learners have used. And what tools do you use with your learners when you teach grammar? Either with young learners or with higher levels or all learners? Which teaching aids? Do you use teaching aids or only the board for writing the examples?
Yes. Yes, miss.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's talking? Yes, go ahead.
Miss Hannah.
For being late.
Yeah, no problem at all. Welcome.
لسه راجع من برا والله.
لا يا حبيبتي, you're welcome anytime. Yes.
I use cards. Yes, I use cards. Yes, beginning of STEAM, I use cards because I was about to teach the grammar of comparative. So I wrote the sentence on the board. For example, Miss Noha is taller than Miss Firdaus. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, this is a fact, by the way. Thank you, Hannah. Yes.
Everywhere
good
on a card. So, everywhere of this sentence on a card. I copied it four times because I had four groups, and I give them the cards. Wanted to make a correct sentence.
Excellent.
I give them 3 minutes to make the sentence, and came into the front of the class, make a row of the sentence. Each one stands on his correct place or correct position to make the sentence. The group which makes the sentence firstly is the winner.
Excellent. So this is a game. Here we use two things. We use cards in teaching the grammar to put the sentences in order, and we play the game. They play a game to put it in order. So this is amazing. So here you are the mentors now. You are telling me the strategies. So Amani mentioned telling some stories, or by telling a story, she used to tell them a story. And from the story, she selects some examples and write on the board. And after that, she asks her learners to mention the present form of the verb, or vice versa, or to tell the past of the verb. So this is amazing. The second, she says she can, Amani and Mr. Ahmed mentioned they can use songs to summarize the grammar rules. And this is another way, because when we hear a song, we naturally know the grammar rule without explaining the deductive way or the grammar translation way when we just give examples and stick on the board. Also, I loved the idea of TPR, as Mr. Ahmed has mentioned, the active verbs, and sometimes he can write a passage or something, a context on the board, and they select the sentences, they tell more examples. So this is great. And Hannah, of course, mentioned playing games and using the cards to play the games, to put the sentences in order, not just to write the examples on the board and give the rules. The comparative is the adjective plus er plus then. No, not like this, but in a competitive or a wonderful way to put the cards in order after they, of course, they got the rule, and to play a game to know which group will write the sentence grammatically correct first. So this is amazing. Let's, okay, has any one of you has another different technique?
The same with these cards, but putting them on a fish pool and trying to catch cards to make the correct sentence.
Wow, okay. So what do you think of a class like this, my dear colleagues and friends? What do you think of a class which is very energetic, active, playing, coming out and going on and trying to win in a race or to play a game or just to come out with this? What do you think a class like this will be? Will it be the same as the first one?
No, it's a fun class.
Yes, of course. And is it a learner-centered class or a teacher-centered class? When they play games, use the cards, put the word in order and so on. Of course. And this is the target of our learning, or this is the target of mentoring. When you mentor your learners, you guide them to how, and this is the real goal, how to apply something, how to produce something, why and how. You are doing something for which purpose or for which reason, and how you do it. Because as we have mentioned before, the real rule of a good mentor is of course, how to apply and how to apply and how to create a lifelong learner who will never stop learning and will do the things by himself all the time. Let's see together. You are more than amazing, of course. You are outstanding and super colleagues. Let's see the techniques together. Okay. Here, 10 tools and techniques for presenting grammars. There is a variety of tools and techniques at a teacher's disposal for presenting grammar items. Let's see together what are they. Expand a sentence. Do you remember when we were young واحنا صغيرين كده كنا بنلعب حد بيقول كلمة والتاني بيكملها وكده. For example, let's apply together. I'll start with a pronoun and try to complete me. Yesterday,
I went.
Yes, complete. Went. Yeah.
To the zoo.
To the zoo. So this is a kind of teaching grammar. You can start with a word. You can tell your learners that you're going to start with a word and choose 2, 3, or 4 according to the sentence you want them to tell you. For example, and of course, before you start, choose the tense or give them a key verb. For example, went. So you say the pronoun I. One of them say
like a chain story.
Yes, yeah, like a chain story. Excellent, that's it. It's like a chain story or a chain. Yeah, using the chain in teaching grammar. Someone starts with a word, the others completes, and so on. And after they finish the sentence, write it on the board. And after that, you can ask someone to read the sentence aloud. And you can play by exchanging the pronoun. Instead of I, start with he, and instead of he, start with they, and so on. So you can use different pronouns if you are explaining the present continuous or progressive. For example, I am reading now. Start with he, and let them answer. Even if they give you wrong answer, no problem. Write their answers on the board. When you finish writing the models, if you are teaching, for example, present continuous, if you are teaching them I and the subject, the singular form, I, he, she, and it, write the sentences on the board without correcting any mistakes. After that, you take feedback from them. You will find some say that no, he am, not miss, he is. So you teach them the grammar rule inductively. All the time we are afraid that they will not know the rule. And this is our problem. When we teach our learners, we try to give them all things without any effort. They are just sitting, they are listening to you, and they are having the rule. But we have to change this style because it becomes traditional. And our learners today, if you are lecturing them, they will feel bored. So expand sentence, start with a simple sentence, and the children expand the noun phrase and the verb chain. Example, the boy swam. The second, the small boy swam quickly. Another one, the small boy, without any thought for his own safety, swam quickly to save the dog. Of course, it can differ from the different levels. If you are dealing with lower levels, just a simple sentence of 3 words. I like English, for example. If they are higher, you can expand the sentence to more words, okay? So is it easy to apply something like this, expanding a sentence?
Yeah.
Okay. Here is choose the correct sentence. You can hear, but this is this technique will be more applicable if you have already taught them the grammar rules. So you can tell them different sentences, and they can choose the correct sentences. You can hear, for example, this is similar to the previous idea because you give the students, we give them 2 sentences, and we ask them which one is correct. And you began to ask them about the tenses. Is it present simple? Is it present perfect? And so on. So you can tell them or choose the correct sentence, but it depends on their previous background to choose or to correct the mistakes, okay? Here, how to teach grammar inductively. First, the first step, students analyze examples of correct language. So first, as we have mentioned, you can tell them a story, a short story, maybe of a sentence or 2, and write the sentences on the board. Students analyze examples of correct language. Here we mean they look at the examples. Students create rules based on their observations. For example, if you write on the board, I am reading now, your students can think of another sentence about themselves. For example, I am playing now. So they can tell you about what are they doing. So here, the second step is creating rules. Here it means creating examples of their own. Step 3, students test the rules against additional examples. They look at the example on the board and the sentence they are saying. I am reading. One of them say I am looking. One of them say I am hearing, and so on. So they compare between the sentence on the board and the sentence they are saying. Step 4, students test the rules. We have said step 4, students modify. If they told you the sentence in a wrong way, they can you write the sentence on the board and they can modify it. No, I am, for example, they can say I am read now. So they look again, no, I'm reading now, and add to rules as necessary. Step 5, students apply rules to their own writing and speaking samples. So by observing all the time the examples on the board, they can modify or speak or write or read the sentences. And then step 4 here, or step 5 here, the last one, You can play, as we have mentioned before, by changing the pronoun of the sentence. You start a sentence with I. In another example, you change the pronoun into he. Another example, you can change the pronoun into they. So all the time you are not teaching the rule, but you are trying to test their observation and trying to encourage and motivate them to tell you examples to reach the rule at the end. Okay? Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
هنشوف فيديو والله دلوقتي وهظبط لكم الدنيا, don't worry. Okay, this is another way, a flip card book. You can bring a wall chart and divide it like this to give them or to tell them about the contractions of some verbs like has, hasn't, is, isn't, and so on. So this is another way. You can divide your class into groups and try to ask them, for example, to do or to make an activity about the contractions. Maybe the present continuous, I, in the middle, am, in the third part, reading, maybe he, and so on. Okay, this is a flip book also. You can ask your learners after each rule to make a flip book about present simple, about present continuous, about the prepositions by drawing some pictures and so on. Okay, sentence sticks. You can use the sticks to divide the sentence into either adjectives, the parts of speech. Is it an adjective? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adverb? You can ask or divide your class into groups. Each one of the group choose a stick. For example, one chooses a noun, one chooses a verb, one chooses an adverb, and you ask them to form a sentence after they choose the different kinds of sticks. You ask them to think of a sentence. You write the sentence on the board and you adapt the sentence according to any kind of tense you want. For example, some of them choose he, some of them choose play, some of them choose quickly, some of them choose good or bad. So you can ask them to think of a sentence. For example, he play quickly. Write the sentence as it is. He play quickly, okay? After you write the sentence on the board, try to encourage them to look at the sentence and find if it is correct or not. So that you can ask, it can be a kind of a game to divide them into two teams and ask them to look at the sentence for a minute and tell you, is it correct or not? Of course, you will have a volunteer to tell you. He will say correct, someone will say correct, the other one will say wrong. So ask them why, so he corrects the sentence and so on. So you all the time, you are not giving the rule deductively or directly, but you try to encourage your learners to suspect or to know the rule indirectly or inductively, okay? Here is another prefix flipbook. So flipbook can be a good way of using or teaching grammar. To divide, to use a wall chart to teach the grammar rule by dividing it into parts and asking them to choose a sentence all the time. Also objects, as Ms. Hannah mentioned, using cards, but we can use realia to teach grammar. For example, we can point to a desk and a pencil and ask them which one is bigger, which one is smaller, which one two children, which one is taller, which one is shorter, also which one is darker, which one is lighter, and so on. So objects can be a way to start teaching the grammar by pointing or addressing some objects inside the classroom. Write examples on the boards about these objects, and after that to ask the children to elicit the grammar rules. So objects can be another way of teaching grammar, okay? So can you tell me how many things have we talked about till now for teaching grammar?